President Marcos's first ever cabinet meeting focused on economy, education, and food security. The economic team first presented an outlook of the economy. Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte then gave her ideas on how the country will return to face-to-face education next semester. President Marcos also gave a background on what his general directives to agriculture officials are to ensure food security. The president himself admitted they were not able to cover everything after they met for 4 hours. That's why he and his cabinet are planning to meet twice or thrice a week. In his first press briefing as president, he emphasized the importance of making sure there's enough supply of food at affordable prices. He's concerned about rising food prices, saying that many factors are out of their control, although he says the country has enough food supply. The chief executive says they're still preparing for possible food shortages and higher prices. A journalist also asked President Marcos about the inflation rate of 6.1% last month. The number is higher than the government's target of 2 to 4%. And here is his response.
I think that I will have to disagree with that number. We are not that high. We have crossed our targets were less 4% or less. Unfortunately, it looks like we may cross that threshold. Tatawid tayo sa 4%.
The president meanwhile said there's no need to import more rice and corn to stabilize prices locally. He says he wants to boost local production this planting season instead. The chief executive, however, emphasized that there's a need to import more pork and chicken. Pork because the country is short on supply due to the African swine fever. Chicken because he says local supply is not sufficient. Although we have yet to know if these measures are enough and can make it on time to temper rising food prices. President Marcos meanwhile says Vice President Duterte announces during the meeting that she seeks to implement the resumption of full face-to-face classes by November. It will be the first time that full face-to-face classes in schools will happen since the pandemic began in March 2020. The president says it will begin in phases starting September. The chief executive meanwhile says he's set to meet with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who just arrived in the country. He says the purpose of the meeting is to strengthen the ties between China and the Philippines and that they will find ways to resolve the conflicts that the two countries have. Rex Remitio, CNN Philippines.